made this talk a few decades ago. I was speaking about autism, I basically created an autism simulator. Show the audience basically what it was like to have autism. Just a little taste. Speech went for about 10 minutes. I'm not going to do that to you here. With me talking about autism and traits that people have. Now, during this speech on autism, I didn't tell anyone, but I had made up a social rule and I made sure I was following it the entire speech. At the end of the talk, I asked if anyone had noticed. And most people in the room had no idea what I was talking about. They're all like, what do you mean you made up a rule? Point number one on understanding autism. I made up a social rule. I didn't tell anyone about it. I just expected them to notice and follow along. That's unfair and stupid, you say? I agree. It is stupid to just make up social rules unexpectedly without telling anyone and expecting them to know what they are without ever explicitly telling them. So I don't know if anybody noticed that I've been doing the same thing this entire video. Can anyone guess the rule? See, now that I've told you a rule, you're all of a sudden paying attention. You're like, hang on, I didn't know I was supposed to be looking for a rule. Suddenly you're like looking at me, studying me, going, what rule? That's point number two. Often autistic people are told that they're getting X wrong and they weren't even aware that X was a thing. Now we start to study you going, well, how do I do X? Here is my final point in this autism talk. After telling everyone that there was something to look for, there was one person who was brave enough to put up his hand. He said, you're doing something with your hand. I said, okay, demonstrate the rule for me. So he got up and started to talk and was doing the thing with his hands. And guess what? The hand thing was correct, but when he did it, was not. He worked out something was happening with my hand, but he just wasn't sure when to do the thing with his hands. That's point three. And my final point is everyone's reaction to him. Do you know what everyone did? They laughed at him. So he got further than some people because autism is a spectrum after all. Some notice the hand thing and some will do the hand thing just right. Others will notice the hand thing, but they're not sure when to do it. And others were completely oblivious to the fact there was a hand thing. And if you want to know why social rules are difficult for autistic people to master, because they change person to person, day to day, culture to culture, situation to situation, etc. Like I don't normally hug you, but maybe we're at a Christmas party, so suddenly we're hugging. It's confusing. So did you work out my rule yet? The rule I made up is far more straightforward than most social rules. I'm touching my ear every time I say the word autism. Congrats. If you didn't work it out before I told you, or before I told you you had something to look for, you have a disability.